creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view of Asian current affairs without relying on external news sources. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes. For over 30 years, we have been getting stronger and faster. This year alone, we have added 4 new members, increasing our total to 30 members, contributing and exchanging news material every day. But our influence is just not limited to the region. We have been expanding our network across the globe. In the Middle East and Northern Africa, we have Sister Union, Arab States Broadcasting Union, sharing news with us daily. In Europe, we exchange news with over 60 different European broadcasters, and in America, CNN receives news materials from AVN and broadcasts them all over the world. Asian news is changing faster and having more of an impact on global affairs than ever before. Through improvements in technology, journalists are able to submit and access more news stories and receive updates faster through our newly integrated internet-based platform. The new internet platform has made it easier to contribute and access current news events, and the rise of membership participation has led to a dramatic increase of items being exchanged over the last year. With the exchange of news comes the exchange of ideas. Members can also benefit from AVN journalist workshops and attachment schemes in our bid to create partnerships, spread knowledge, and elevate standards. So, contribute your views in global affairs and join us as we document history in the making. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Nasma Abdul Mohsin and this is AVN News. Outgoing U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson gives a farewell speech to State Department staff before his official March 31st departure. U.S. President Donald Trump announced in a March 13 tweet that he is replacing Tillerson with CIA Director Mike Pompeo. VOA's Zlatica Hoge reports Tillerson did not mention Trump in his farewell address, but observers say it was obvious that his criticism referred to the president and his administration.
Tillerson thanked State Department employees for their contribution to the success of U.S. diplomacy.
None of this is possible without your daily contributions, from the mailroom to the 7th floor and all points in between.
The former Exxon CEO from Texas highlighted the importance of maintaining personal integrity.
Only you can relinquish it or allow it to be compromised. Once you've done so, it is very, very hard to regain it. So guard it as the most precious thing you possess.
That statement alone was seen by many as a jab at the political elite, whose conduct in private as well as in public life is often questionable. But Tillerson made sure there would be no misunderstanding.
This can be a very mean-spirited town. But you don't have to choose to participate in that. Each of us get to choose the person we want to be and the way we want to be treated and the way we will treat others.
Tillerson's dismissal was expected long before it came, but the manner in which it was done raised eyebrows. His deputy Steve Goldstein said Tillerson learned he had been fired from Trump's tweet. The White House said he was informed earlier by Trump's chief of staff John Kelly. Goldstein was promptly dismissed for contradicting the White House. Tillerson urged diplomats and others to treat each other with respect.
In closing, I'd like to ask that each of you undertake to ensure one act of kindness each day towards another person.
Trump has not commented on Tillerson's remarks Thursday, but a day after firing him, he said he gets along better with Mike Pompeo. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert thanked Tillerson for his service to the country.
It's a lot to leave family, to leave a good job, to leave grandkids, and a beautiful ranch. So that is a reminder of the sacrifice that he made.
Tillerson visited 38 countries during his year in office, totaling more than 90 days of travel. Zlatica Hoge, VOA News, Washington.
A British tech company is using donated human heart tissue to replicate the beating action of a heart muscle and to aid preclinical testing of new drugs. Faith Lapidus reports.
This sliver of human heart tissue is beating as a tiny electrical impulse courses through it at the Inocardia lab in Coventry, England. Researchers say it accurately mimics the dynamic action of heart muscle as if it was still in the body.
And what we do is very similar in terms of simulating the length change of the muscle to enable us to simulate the biomechanical action of the muscle as it's working. And by doing so, we're able, when we add drugs to the muscle, we're able to really predict the truly clinically effective concentrations of the drugs on the muscle, and then that can translate very well into clinical trials.
Existing drug testing methods use static muscle, which Maddox says cannot provide that data. Inocardia's technology can also allow researchers to quickly identify unsuitable or even toxic compounds before too much money is invested in their development.
The whole idea is for a drug discovery program, for it to be able to screen the most efficacious drug that would be good for heart failure, to increase contractility without causing effect on the workload of the heart.
Inocardia says the method reduces the dependence on animals for in vivo studies, which often provide misleading results. It's now working with a number of pharmaceutical companies to find new drugs. I'm Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
When refugees arrive in the U.S., they receive a small stipend to cover living expenses for 3 to 6 months, and they get some help from refugee resettlement agencies. After that, they are on their own to navigate their new country. In 2016, an influx of Syrian refugees led a group of women in Phoenix, Arizona to step in to help their new neighbors. VOA's June Saw has more on the grassroots effort. Her story is narrated by VOA's Carol Pearson.
When I'm big, I am happy. I am very happy.
After Noor al-Musa and one of her young daughters got shot and her house collapsed in Syria, the family walked to Jordan overnight, where they stayed for 4 years before arriving in the U.S.
Whenever I came, I haven't anybody, any friends, but volunteers, American volunteers, helped me on everything. I made a sweet just for family in my country. Now, volunteers help me to sell my sweets in farmers market. I am in Syrian Sweet Exchange program.
The Syrian Sweets Exchange is a series of bake sales that introduces traditional Syrian pastries made by refugees, many of whom arrived in Arizona in recent years. Tanja Kwani, one of the 7 founders of the program, says an estimated 800 people came to the first bake sale at a church, and the sweets sold out fast.
After the overwhelming response of the first Syrian Sweets Exchange, we continue to host more bake sales at churches, synagogues, Arizona State universities, and local bookstores.
The founders and other volunteers who drive the bakers to the sale and interpret for them are people from all walks of life, different faiths, and mostly women. Helping refugees stems from Jaquani's family history. Her father, a major in the South Vietnamese Army, was evacuated at the end of the Vietnamese War in 1975 and took refuge in the U.S. She came with her mother and 3 siblings 10 years later.
When we came, he already had a small house for us, so we did not have to go through the phase of, living up as a refugee. But my dad always told us about the time when he first came. He had a family sponsor who helped him with getting his driver license, getting library card, and helped him get a job.
The Syrian Sweets Exchange is part of a larger group called Refugee Connection Phoenix, whose volunteer members have grown from 60 to 800 over the last year. The group's programs also include Refugee Baby Shower, Syrian Supper Club, and Refugee Reading Program. A volunteer makes a weekly visit to a refugee family to read books. Melika Cooley coordinates the reading program.
We didn't only create this opportunity for children to read with a local volunteer in English and advance their reading and comprehension skills. And we also connected them with local families, and they created friendships and relationships, and that is helping with the transition of these refugee families into our community.
Jaquani says the refugees need a lot of help.
But I think that if each one of us put in a little bit effort, a lot can be done to help them rebuild their life in their new homeland.
For producer June So, I'm Carol Pearson, VOA News, Phoenix, Arizona.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
A brain implant to decode complex speech signals could soon be a reality, giving people who've lost their ability to speak the power to be heard again. Faith Lapidus reports.
Researchers have created a variety of brain-computer interfaces that control all sorts of assistive physical devices. They allow paralyzed people to move their fingers and give amputees motor control over prosthetic arms and hands. Now, a team in Spain is working on a brain implant to give people with brain injuries their voice back.
What we are trying to develop are neural interfaces, a new generation of neural interfaces based on graphene that are capable of reading and mapping brain activity, with the ultimate goal of to restore communication and speech in patients with severe speech disabilities.
Graphene, a wonder material that is just 1 atom thick, is strong, highly flexible, electrically conductive, and transparent, making it ideal for interpreting complex patterns of neural activity.
So the idea is to be able to record the activity in the motor cortex related to the articulation, to the speech, and being able to decode that signal and then send it to a speech synthesizer.
Testing in animals has so far managed to restore vocalization in brain-damaged mice. Interpreting human brain signals is much more complex, but researchers say clinical trials will begin in 3 years. I'm Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
Technology increasingly relies on rechargeable batteries as a source of energy. Today's batteries are better and last longer, but when their capacity drops under a certain level, they have to be replaced. Some experts say that even with a half of their capacity, batteries can be used for less critical purposes. VOA's George Puttich has more.
From cell phones and laptop computers to cars, trains, even airplanes, batteries are everywhere. But their life is not unlimited, says Anand Bhatt from Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Organization.
We're going to have very large volumes of batteries which will end up in landfill, and that's when the environmental problems will start.
The most recycled are classic lead-acid car batteries, up to 90%, while many others are simply thrown away, contaminating soil and water with highly toxic heavy metals. Recycling old electronics is a growing business. As demand grows for heavy metals, essential for manufacture of lithium-ion batteries, companies such as Neo Metals from the Australian city of Perth see economic value in collecting and recycling their own rechargeable batteries. Chris Reed of Neo Metals explains.
We are producing the lithium units, and then recycling, we are taking them back at the end product, unscrambling the egg, recovering the valuables.
The decline of a rechargeable battery's capacity is a gradual process. At some point, it can no longer power an energy-intensive device like this electric motorcycle. But it can still be used to store electricity. Alternative power enthusiast and owner of an electric scooter, Chris Jones, says old rechargeable batteries can still hold as much as 80% of their power.
These are repurposed lithium-ion batteries from electric scooters. Now I'm going to be using them to power my home. I'm charging these up with solar panels on the roof of my shed, and I'm going to be able to charge my scooter at night.
As the number of electric vehicles rapidly increases, enthusiasts hope it will not be long before companies start repurposing still active rechargeable batteries before throwing them into the recycle bin. George Putic, VOA News.
And that's all we have for you right now. Thank you for watching. Have a very pleasant day.
Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.